asteroid exploded near Mutania. The asteroid had been struck by a beam from the robot ship. "It's after us again," frightened Sheena cried. "Take the ship deeper into the field," commanded Newton. And the Mutania crew held their fingers crossed as they tried to lose the ship among the dangerous floating rocks. As Mutania flew cautiously about through the asteroid belt, Newton had its computer memorize every nook and cranny of the asteroid belt in case they had to do some quick re-entry into it at a later date. Minutes later, Sonia reported to Newton that she couldn't detect the attacking ship on her sensors. "It's probably hiding. Probably playing a game of cat and mouse with us," thought Newton out loud. "But it's strange, if it is. Cat and mouse doesn't seem to be what it would do. It seems bent on destroying, not playing. The way it's acting seems as though it's afraid of the asteroids. But why should that be the case when it can heal up after being vaporized?" wondered Sheena. 20 hours later, Newton ordered Mutania out of the asteroid belt when the robot ship was long gone. The crew didn't know where the ship went off to, but when Newton got in contact with his Empire, they soon found out where it went. Although it was afraid to go after Mutania in the asteroid belt, it was showing no fear to the large fleet of ships that took orders from Newton. The robot ship was quickly destroying the Empire fleet with ease. Hearing that made Newton furious. He quickly contacted all that was left of his Empire and ordered them to hide themselves in the asteroid belt, being that the attacker showed fear of it. An hour later, his Empire of now 130 ships were now hiding among the floating deadly rocks. "Are you sure it won't come in here and get us?" asked the captain to Newton. "It might, but it won't go deep into it," assured Newton. But when the robot ship arrived, it didn't go into the asteroid belt. Instead, it began firing at the asteroids, causing the large, jagged rocks to explode and damage the fleet as they tried to hide. "Oh no!" yelled Newton and the others. The explosions of the asteroids were causing more harm than they expected. Each time an asteroid exploded from the robot ship's death beam, a ship was badly damaged. Some began to lose control and crash into other asteroids, causing them to explode. So much confusion was now being generated from the panic the ship was causing that some of Newton's fleet was crashing into themselves and exploding. "Damn you, Newton!" yelled the fleet as they tried to keep from hitting the large floating rocks. "Put all power to your deflector shields," Newton commanded. But as the slaughter continued, Newton desperately ordered the ships to leave the asteroid belt, if they could. An asteroid exploded close to Mutania, nearly destroying its shield system also. The ships then decided to stay in the asteroids when they began to be pecked off by the robot ship that quickly met their exits. Minutes later, there were only 14 ships left of Newton's entire empire, and Mutania was badly damaged. "What can we do? What can we do?" the survivors of his empire cried out. Newton fiercely shouted out, "I'm going to attack it myself. I'm going to attack it by myself." He turned to the horrified Sonia and furiously commanded, "Take the ship out of the asteroid belt. When we see the ship on the sensors, I want you to fire everything we have at it." "But it won't be much, Newton," she shouted back. "Our energy has been greatly drained to protect the ship from the exploding asteroids." "Do it," yelled Newton. "How can we get out of this maze?" she asked. "Like this," shouted Newton. He pressed the button to the Mutania computer. The ship then began to zip about the asteroids at an incredible rate of speed, terrifying Sheena. "I sure hope an asteroid hasn't made a drastic move in the belt," shouted Sonya. Mutania escaped out of the asteroid belt, and there, right before their eyes, was the robot ship with its back to them. "Hurry, before it sees us," shouted Newton, and Mutania began to rain photon torpedo after photon torpedo onto it, shattering it, causing it to explode. "Yes," shouted Newton with vengeful excitement, "and when it heals up, we will blast it again, and again, and again, and again, until we can't blast it anymore. Until we can't blast it anymore." As Mutania continued to blast it every time the ship healed up, its crew became frightened when they began to realize the ship was healing up faster than it used to. As it healed up faster, a nervous Newton said, "I sure hope my Empire gets here before we run out of weapons." Minutes later, only 3 ships of Newton's Empire came to Newton's rescue. The others were either destroyed trying to escape the asteroid belt, or they had decided to leave Newton and escape while they could. As they took turns destroying the robot ship, one of the captains reported to Newton that he saw a very small saucer-shaped ship flying about in space outside the asteroid belt. Hearing that made Newton begin to think that it might be something important. "What do you think it could be?" wondered one of the captains. Newton just sat in his throne and said, "I think that it has something to do with the ship we are attacking." "What do you mean?" asked Sheena. What I mean is that since we have vaporized the ship to nothing, the nothing in it can be rebuilding it. Which leads me to another theory. The thing we are destroying is not the thing we should be destroying. There must be an outside force that is rebuilding it. Possibly that little object that we have seen. There must be an outside force that is rebuilding it. Possibly that little object that we have seen. "But it's only the size of a cake box," said Sheena. "I know that sounds absurd. I know this sounds absurd," responded Newton. "But it seems more absurd to have the ship come back after being blown to vapor. I say let's hunt down that little flying object, destroy it, and see just what effect it has on it." And after destroying the robot ship for one final time, Newton and the last of the Empire went on a hunt to destroy the little flying object. "There it is," the captain reported. Mutania and the others looked at it as it quickly escaped off into the asteroids. "Fire!" shouted Newton. The Imperial fleet of Newton, what was left of it, tried to destroy the object, but it quickly ducked and dodged the beams as it tried to hide among the asteroids. Suddenly, right when Mutania and another ship were going to get it in a crossfire, the ship that was going to try to crossfire it exploded when the robot ship struck it with a powerful ray beam. The others began to try to escape the asteroid belt, but Newton told them that the robot ship would either destroy them now or destroy them later. That they should try to destroy the object, for it was possibly their only hope they now had. And another ship went up into vapor after Mutania was struck by a powerful beam of light from the robot ship at the same time. Mutania and another ship were the only 2 left of Newton's Empire. Escape! Escape! Now terrified, Newton commanded. And Mutania and the last spaceship of the Empire tried to duck under and over and around the deadly asteroids with the indestructible robot ship on their tails. "Take the ship in the most dense part of the asteroid belt," commanded Newton. As Mutania headed off into the area, the other ship tried to also, but exploded when it accidentally collided with one of the floating rocks. Mutania then was then badly shaken when it scraped against an asteroid on its deadly journey. "We're all alone now," said Sonia, resigned to the fact that they were had. "Let's hide behind one of the asteroids. When the ship shows up, we will go out in a blaze of glory by giving it our all," commanded the now frightened Newton. As they awaited its arrival, Sonia thought out loud, "For being immortal, it sure is careful about not hitting asteroids." Sheena then reported that the robot ship was beginning to show up on her sensors. It was starting to come around on the right side of the asteroid they were hiding behind. Hearing that made Newton order Sonia to arm the photons. "There it is," shouted Sheena. "Now, fire," shouted Newton. 5 photon torpedoes shot out of Mutania and pulverized the robot ship right before it could fire on them. There was a long pause as Newton stood next to his throne watching the robot ship heal back up on the view screen. "You'll be healed back up totally in another minute," replied Sonia in a monotone. "Let it," said Newton. He then turned to Sonia and said, "This may be the biggest waste of weapons we have ever done, but do it anyway. Destroy all the asteroids in this area with our phasers." "What?" Sonia and Sheena asked. "Do it," shouted Newton with anger. And Mutania began blasting asteroids here and there with its phasers. When the dust cleared, Newton and his crew noticed that the robot ship was almost completely rebuilt. "Damn," said Newton as the robot ship began to turn to attack. But instead of attacking, it quickly began to try to move out of the asteroid belt, the same way it had come in. "Hey," shouted a now excited Newton. "The robot ship didn't heal up all the way. One of those exploding meteors must have destroyed the object that was constantly repairing it." And with that realization, the now determined mutant captain sent his ship after the retreating robot ship. The robot ship tried to stop Mutania by firing back at it. But Mutania's computer knew the configuration of the asteroid belt, and it was able to zip in and around the asteroids and fire at it before it could fire on it. Minutes later, the ship was looking quite beaten up. Not only was Newton wearing it down, but it was getting pretty banged up on little asteroids as well. Circle around, the happy Newton shouted. "Let's force it back into the densest part of the asteroid belt again." And Mutania chased it back into the asteroid's densest part again. But right before it struck an asteroid, Mutania blasted the robot ship in the side, causing it to fly out of control. It nicked the side of one meteor, crashed into another, then crashed onto an asteroid and exploded. Mutania stuck around for a while to see if it would heal up again, but it never did. Newton then ordered his crew to fire one more photon torpedo down on it, just in case. And after the photon torpedo shattered the asteroid the robot ship crashed on, Mutania backed out of the asteroid belt and flew out into space. The next story I'm not about to read to you, but the next story I will be reading to you is called "The Fights." Over and out.